In the last show, we took a look at leisure batteries, and I said that in this show, you might be in for a bit of a surprise, and believe me, you will be, because we're going to take an in-depth look at leisure batteries, and I mean in-depth. Now then, the National Caravan Council, the Caravan Club, and the Camping and Caravanning Club are all looking at ways to raise the standard of the batteries that are put into motorhomes and caravans. And to help me out here, to explain what makes a good battery for leisure use, is John Wickersham, well-known writer and guru on all things to do with motorhomes and caravans. Over to you, John.
Thank you, Andy.
What's all this here?
Well, I've got various bits and pieces that help to demystify what's inside. And it all starts with cases, and they're divided up into 6 little compartments. That's standard with most batteries. But what's inside each compartment? You'll see that there are a series of lead grids. They won't be like this because they're actually coated with lead oxide paste, and that reacts with sulfuric acid and makes electricity. They're also put in a little envelope called a separator. Oh, the acid can get through this okay, but it causes the electricity to be made. It also helps if the separator has some fiberglass to all press against the plate so everything is kept together like a tight sandwich. And that's the mark of a good, successful battery that's going to have discharge and charge and discharge and charge, whereas a car battery only has to give power once. And if you use a car battery to act like a leisure battery, look, the paste falls out because this is so thin and there's no fiberglass pressing it into the grid.
Thank you, John. So now we understand what goes into a battery. Well, look, we've got 8 so-called leisure batteries here, which were all bought from caravan and motorhome dealers in the Midlands within the past 6 or 8 weeks. But there are some dramatic differences. For example, look, John, this one here is labelled up as a 100 amp hour battery, and yet it's tiny, and not just the case, but the plates as well. What's going on here?
Well, it's a classic case that they were saving on money. The lead in that is minuscule. Look, the height of the plate is nowhere near the height of the case. For instance, there's such a problem here, they've had to make this pillar on the top to actually reach the top. No, it won't perform, Andy. It is absolutely useless. It's saving money.
Right, well, that's telling it like it is. And by the way, don't do this at home, whatever you do. It's nasty stuff, the stuff you get inside batteries. What about this one here, John? Look, I noticed it was white, and it's actually got a couple of holes where the paste's fallen out, and yet it's supposed to be a brand new battery.
I think the classic case here is that it's actually an old battery that sat on the shelf for some time, and it lost its charge, and when it gets down to 12.2 volts, it starts to develop a sulfate on the surface, and that gets worse and worse, and it then can't perform at all. Last year's model being sold this year.
Wow. Oh dear, this is outrageous. So sulfate is always white, is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely
so
right.
So what on earth, John, is going on with this battery here? Not only is it white, it's got loads of furry stuff in it
well,
as well.
Look, it's absolutely incredible. It's got sulfate all over the top, it's getting between the plates, and even the best charger in the world isn't going to get this one back to its original state.
And yet it's virtually a brand new battery.
And yet it's brand new.
Goodness me. I think that the surprising and perhaps shocking thing about the batteries that we've looked at is that if you go by the size, the weight, the design of these cells, it shows that the batteries really are probably starter batteries. There's one exception, and here it is. John, tell us about this.
Well, quite clearly, all the plates there are heavy. It's tall, and also there's fiberglass pressing against the separator to keep that lead oxide place in the grid of each of these sections. Now, I happen to know that this originally was a semi-traction battery. In other words, it was used in industry. It could be used till it was nearly discharged and charged back up again many times over, which, Andy, is just what happens in a caravan or a motorhome.
Exactly, exactly. That is fascinating stuff, John, and I think it provides us with plenty of food for thought the next time we go out shopping for a leisure battery.